He lit one for both of us, knowing it would be his last. The smell of tobacco mixed with the sharp sting of cold air as we stood in the trench, watching the horizon blur under the heavy mist. My comrade Daniels had that faint smile on his face, the kind that said more than words could. His hands were trembling slightly, but it wasn't from the cold. He reached into his breast pocket, pulled out a crumpled pack of cigarettes, and offered me one. "Smoke it slow," he said, striking the match with his thumb. The flame flickered against the wind, casting a brief glow on his tired eyes. It was an odd moment to be doing something so mundane. Shells had been falling not far from us all morning, and the distant crack of rifles reminded us the enemy was still out there. But for a few seconds, it felt like we were just two men standing outside a diner, killing time. We didn't speak much. Maybe we both knew that words couldn't make this moment last any longer. Daniels had been my friend since training. We'd been thrown together by chance, but war has a way of making strangers into brothers. I'd seen him drag a wounded soldier out of a burning vehicle without hesitation. I'd seen him give away his last ration to a scared 19-year-old recruit. That was Daniels always giving away pieces of himself to make someone else feel a little more whole. The cigarette burned slowly, each draw warming my lungs and grounding me in the present. I remember looking over at him, wanting to say anything that could matter in the face of what we were about to walk into. But before I could, the order came. Move out. We dropped our cigarettes halfway finished, crushing them into the mud as we grabbed our rifles. The ground shook with the distant pounding of artillery. I could feel the tension in the air, the kind that makes every heartbeat sound louder in your ears. We advanced across the frozen field, the fog swallowing our silhouettes one by one. The first shots rang out before we even saw the enemy. Bullets snapped through the air, tearing into the dirt just inches from us. I remember the way Daniels moved low, quick, but always looking out for the others. We pushed forward, returning fire when we could, but the sound of explosions and screams made it all blur together. And then, I lost sight of him. It happened fast, a burst of gunfire from the ridge to our left. I turned just in time to see Daniels stumble, his rifle slipping from his hands. He fell to his knees first, then onto his side. I didn't think, I didn't weigh the risk. I just ran. The mud sucked at my boots as I crossed the open ground, the smell of gunpowder heavy in the air. I slid down beside him, grabbing under his arms to drag him toward cover. His breathing was ragged, his uniform dark with blood. "Don't stop," he managed to whisper. His grip on my sleeve was weak, but his eyes were locked on mine. I kept pulling him, my back screaming with effort, until we reached the shadow of a half-destroyed wall. My hands were already slick with his blood. I pressed down hard, trying to slow it, but there was too much. His chest rose and fell in uneven gasps. "You've still got that cigarette?" he asked, voice barely audible. I froze. My hand went to my pocket, feeling the crumpled pack. The cold cardboard felt heavier than it should have. I pulled it out, fumbling with the lighter. My hand shook not from the cold this time, but from the knowledge that this was all I could do for him. I lit it and placed it gently between his lips. He took one slow drag, eyes closing as if the smoke carried him somewhere far from here. His breathing slowed, the cigarette slipped from his mouth, and then, nothing. For a long moment, I just sat there, staring at him. The battle still raged around us, but it all sounded muffled, distant, like I was underwater. I took the cigarette from the mud, crushed it between my fingers, and put it back in the pack. I didn't want to leave him there, but I couldn't stay. The others were calling out, and I had to move. I carried him as far as I could before the medics took over, though I already knew it was too late. His body was still warm, but his face had gone slack, peaceful in a way I'd never seen before. That night, when the gunfire finally died down, I sat alone by the dim glow of a lantern. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the pack again. The cigarettes were bent, stained with mud and blood. I lit one for myself, inhaling deeply. It didn't taste the same. The smoke scratched at my throat, and I could feel the tears I'd been holding back all day finally start to fall. I kept the pack. I still have it, years later. It sits in a small box at the back of my closet, alongside his dog tags and a photo we took in training. People ask me why I keep it, why I hold on to something so small, so insignificant. Because it wasn't just a cigarette, it was his way of saying goodbye without saying it. His last act of friendship before the end. Do you believe small moments mean the most in war? I do.